The next question is, what character traits did the corporal's words reveal? So when we're looking back at the words that he uses, um, he kind of he tells us everything that he feels. So he's kind of an open book. Um, he seems a little hopeless that maybe they're outnumbered, and he tells this to Doll right away. He doesn't wait at all. He's supposed to be the leader, but he just comes off kind of like wild and crazy and silly, because he's talking, like he repeats himself over and over again. He keeps talking about the planes and how many planes they have. And then he just doesn't necessarily seem like he's all there still. So think about those things when you're going to write your characterization. Like how would you describe him based on what we've learned? The next question, were you surprised by the corporal's words? Explain why or why not. So when the corporal is talking, he's talking about war. He doesn't give Doll even a chance to get off the plane, really, before he just starts telling him these are all the things that are wrong. So as a leader, would you expect him to lay it all out there and say, hey, this is just how it's going to be? Or would you think that he would like try to keep up morale a little bit, and instead of revealing all of these negative aspects to Doll, like you're outnumbered 1,000 to 15, would he maybe not say like, oh, you're going to be shot down in flames? Would those things surprise you if your commander was just out there being like, nope, you're going to die? Okay, so we have two questions left. Was this scene meant to be funny, scary, both, or something else? And what makes you think this? So when I need some text evidence here, so what makes you think this? Point to a specific part of the text. And then what idea do you think Dahl is trying to show the reader in this dialogue? Okay, so when we're thinking about, is it supposed to be funny, or is it supposed to be scary, or some kind of mix of both? You can use the same piece of dialogue if you think it's funny and scary at the same time. So I think a great place to start is that last line that I was just pointing out to you, where he's talking about, okay, well, it's going to be all up in flames. I'm trying to find it here. And like basically doesn't hold back, but it's like the way that he says it is kind of, here it is here, kind of goofy maybe. Kind of crazy. So he says, I'll tell you what's going to happen to it. Crash, bang, wallop, shot down in flames. So it seems like very dramatic. And maybe the corporal is a little dramatic himself. A little bit funny, right? If you're watching like this crazy guy go on a spiel of crash, bang, wallop. It sounds kind of like a joke. Like he, almost that the speaker is making fun of him through revealing the other person's dialogue. But it's also a scary event, right? Like these people are going to get shot down in flames, right? How is that supposed to be encouraging at all? It's very scary. So it might be like a little mix of both. Okay. And then to go back to the final question, what is he trying to show us? So you could talk about either the situation, how dire the situation is, or how just crazy the situation is, or you can talk about the character specifically. So when you're thinking about it, I would think of it as three things here, and you're going to want to focus on one of them. Do you want to talk about the corporal and how he comes across through the dialogue? Do you want to talk about Doll and how he comes across in the scene, as like coming over from Egypt and then being fresh off the plane, not really believing anything that this corporal says? Or do you want to focus on the scene itself? So when we're talking about dialogue, it's a form of showing. And I've said this a few times, but it's a form of showing. It lets you make your own determinations. Not once does Doll say, this guy is crazy. Not once does Doll say, I'm scared. But he says a lot of scary things. He says a lot, or he repeats a lot of things that the corporal says that are kind of crazy, and things that he doesn't believe with. And he tells us that he doesn't believe it without actually saying, I don't believe this guy. He questions him. He asks questions, but he doesn't say, this guy's nuts and I don't believe him and everything's going to be just fine. Or he doesn't say, this scene is crazy. I just got off this plane. This guy's telling me that I'm going to die. I'm really scared right now. What do you think Doll, the speaker, is trying to show us through this reading? So focus on one of those three things.